To order. Good evening, everyone. Our apologies for being a few minutes late. We've been all together for the last 3 hours, and here we are. First, I'd like to have the approval of the April. Just to get too close. Okay, I'll try to do it again. They're not being, okay. I'm trying first. Approval of the April 25th club minutes. Again, a motion, please.
Let's try that at the beginning. Kind of, sort of. Okay, here we go. Hope you can hear me. So, motion? Second? All in favor? Okay, moving on. First up on our agenda is going to be Howard Schnall. Where is Howard? I'm here. Hi, Howard. Joe. Howard is the chair of our audit committee.
Howard is the chair of our audit committee. And there is Howard. And Howard is going to talk about the audit that we have on an annual basis from our outside auditors, RSM. He's going to talk about the club and our POA all in one wonderful package.
Thank you.
You're on the floor, Howard.
Okay, thank you, everybody. As you know, we have an audit committee that does various things throughout the year, but the major thing that we do is we work with the auditors and make sure that everything is, should be the way it is. We're very fortunate. We have very good accounting staff, and Ron, who came in the middle of the year, has done a wonderful job. Over the years, I've worked with most of our CFOs, and Ron is by far the best that we've had to date. And that showed up when we did the audit and so forth.
Let's give Ron a nice round of applause.
Okay, so when there's outside auditors come in and they review all of our work for the year, and so what I've done is I've taken our auditor's report and I've picked out pieces of it rather than bore you with the whole thing. And hopefully these are the things that people want to know about. Well, the first thing, which is very important in for any organization, is to get what we call the independent auditor's report, which is a clean opinion. And what it really says that the statements above present fairly in all material aspects the financial position of Boca Grove. And so that is the first thing that we need, and of course we have that. So we need a clean opinion, and our books are in very good shape. Okay, the next slide is our this is our current assets, and what we have is we have the cash plus the board designated funds, and we have our accounts receivable, and what they do is they compare them year to year, and our board designated funds amount to $1,523,000 of our $4.5 million of cash. We have accounts receivable, a net of allowance for bad debts to those people that that we don't think are going to pay, and then the inventories, prepaid expenses, and so forth. So our total current assets this year were $6,480,000 compared with $5,636,000 last year. And then we add back the board designated funds because we took it out above, and then our property and equipment and accumulated depreciation. So our total assets are $31,779,000, slightly less than last year. Okay, so the next slide. This is something new that we did because people always ask about our funds and so forth. But we actually have 4 different reserve balances. So I asked Ron to kind of do a roll forward, which says take it from last year to the end of this year. So if we look at the various ones, the loan, that's the loan that we have for this original clubhouse. And so the balance in that fund at the end of January of 2000, at the beginning of January, was $606,000. We took in $1,215,000, which is $259 a month per member or if, some of the people have paid it in full, so these are people that are paying, so that amounts to $1,200,000. And then $7,500 out of each new home sale goes into this fund, and that was $240,000. And then what was paid out was the payment, the $1,600,000 was the payment on the loan for the year. The capital fund at the beginning of the year was $1,194,000. We put money in there on a regular basis, $977,000. And we have a special assessment for bunkers on the golf course was $390,000. And then out of the capital, we spend money. We spend $310,000 on the leases. This is the leases of equipment. And then we spent $598,000 was the actual the capital that we spent money on during the year. And then $475,000 was the payment for the bunkers. And the social reserve, which is $100 a month, we started with $519,000. We had $497 at the end. We added $497,000, and we paid out for the clubhouse renovation. We paid out $1,277,000, and let's see, and then $103,000 was the balance that we had left to pay. And then in our operating reserves, what happened was we got $363,000 for our hurricane damage, and the board decided that $248,000 went to the operating, and $115,000 went to capital, and then up above there's $107,000 that was put in the operating, which will cover any potential losses in 2018. So if we add everything up and subtract it all, we have a total left at the end of the year of $1,523,000. So as you see, the money, it's all totally accounted for, and we can make it very clear for everyone. Okay, and then the next page, the next slide is the liabilities, and the current liabilities are $8,000,008 compared to $8,152,000 last year. As you see, our long-term debt was down by $1,200,000. That's the payments on our debt, and obligations under the capital leases. Those are down by the payments that we made, roughly $200,000. And then when we did the original clubhouse, we had what they called an interest rate swap agreement. And that was what they did in those days is instead of doing a fixed rate, we entered into a swap that it wouldn't go above a certain amount. Well, had we had foresight, we would have never done that because nobody expected rates to go down and stay down for that much. And anybody that was on the board then, they just were afraid to it's somebody else's money, and you don't want to lock in on something that could go up. So that's the reason they did that at that point. The next slide is a summary of the revenues. The revenues this year, membership dues and fees in general were $7,365,000 roughly, against $6,962,000 last year. In addition, our finance charges, convenience fees, and other interest income was $468,000, and our food sales was $1,988,000 compared to $1,673,000. Our sports and recreation was $545,000 against $461,000, and tennis was up 92 against 82, and fitness fees were up from 153 to 168. So that total revenue was $10,627,000 against $9,725,000 last year. Okay, the next slide talks about the expenses, and the expenses, the program expenses, which is food and beverage and net, was $3,600,000 compared to $3,044,000. Sports and recreation, golf was $973 to $895. Sports activities, tennis, including lessons and so forth, was $506 compared to $454. Fitness was $348 compared to $346. And golf course and maintenance was about $1,006,000 compared to $1,004,000, and much of that is the cost of chemicals that have gone up, and our costs compared to others are well in line if we recheck that. Administrative in general was $1,376,000 compared to $1,307,000. Clubhouse building and grounds maintenance was a little bit less than last year. Member services and entertainment, $475 to $432. Property taxes were up slightly, up to $231 from $209. And insurance actually was down from $277 to $269, a total of $10,734,000 compared with $9,724,000 last year. So our excess for this year will be for 2018 is $106,000, which is covered by that 107 that was out of the hurricane damage. Okay. And then one more thing that, and note 11, which is on the financial statement, talks about this Hurricane Irma costs, and basically. The special assessment that we had at the time was $141,000, and that was recognized in 2017. And then we received insurance proceeds of $371,000, which is included in this year, which I went over with you. And members were not refunded the Hurricane Irma special assessment bill in 2017. Instead, the board designated $248,000 for future operating losses, of which 107 was used for this year to cover it. And the board designated approximately 115,000 to reduce the bunker restoration assessment with that money, because that's what caused it. The next slide is it's always good to see what kind of liquidity we have, and that's always very important. And this is assets available to meet cash needs for general operating expenditures within 1 year, without contractual or donor restriction. The reason we got donor is because the accountants changed our presentation to be like all nonprofits are grouped together, and that was a change in generally accepted accounting principles, which probably doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's the way everybody is doing it. So we have cash of $4,598,000. We have accounts receivable net, and this is what should be collected in the year. And then the board designated funds of $1,523,000. That means we have cash of $5,790,000. So that our liquidity is pretty good. Okay. We'll now go. First, any questions on the country? Yes.
On the club expenses.
Yes.
There were expenses for the golf course, and there were expenses for tennis, specifically lessons. What is a club expense for tennis lessons?
Well, each group, in other words, the way they show that, we can go back to that.
Both in all three of our sports programs, golf, tennis, and fitness, people are paid for lessons, personal training, and that kind of stuff. That's really a pass-through. So we show it as revenue, and then the expense is payroll when we pay it, or if they're an independent contract, when we pay them through AP. So that is the expense offsetting the revenue. So it's pretty much a pass-through, and they wash out. So they're just saying in here that in sports activities, you had lessons in 2018 for 86,000 and 76,000 and 77. I mean, in 2017. So they're just offsetting and telling you what the lessons were. We got the revenue in from the members who utilize those services, so it doesn't cost the membership as a whole anything. It's just those people who are using that service pay $50 for a golf lesson,
That $50 is then paid through payroll to the golf pro. And the same thing for tennis. Richard gives a lesson, charges it, we pay him through payroll. So it has no impact on your dues or anything because it's a wash.
Any other questions? Okay, let's go on to the POA. In the POA, again, we have a clean opinion, and so that's very clean. The next page is the assets. We have cash of $1,005,000, plus the board funds of $424,000, which was $1,078,000. We have accounts receivable net of $222,000, prepaid expenses of $16,000. So total current assets were $1,003,000 compared with about $1,065,000 last year. And the board designated funds are $424,000, compared to $613,000. And the property and equipment less accumulated depreciation is up because we spent, of course, we used the money to do capital improvements and so forth. The next slide, we did the same thing with the designated funds. The contribution on capital is $200 per quarter that people are putting in. And we spent the money, $188,000 was for the burn. The $382,000 was the Glades Gate and the entrance. So that was the $570 paid out of there, so we have a net of $117. The roadways started out at $264, $965. We paid $25 a quarter, which is $42,586. So that fund is $307,000. And if you add up the totals, the two funds started with $613,000. We took in almost $382,000. We spent $188 more than the $382, and so therefore our reserves are down because we spent the money that we had been accumulating. Okay, we go to the liabilities and property owner's equity, current liabilities, our accounts payable, deferred common area maintenance fees and capital assessments in order to defer them until they pick them up on an ongoing basis. Deposits, and then they owe Boca $193,000. And we have deferred Comcast fees, that's the current portion of $18,000. So the property owner's equity at the end of the year was up to almost $2.5 million compared to $2,000,001 at the beginning of the year. And the next page, the next slide shows the income statement. And basically we have the maintenance fees and interest that we have, so almost $3,300,000 compared to $2,915,000. Security contract, the alarm services, guardhouse costs, landscape maintenance, repairs and maintenance, general administrative. We didn't have any bad debt expense this year. Legal and professional fees, $90,000. Insurance, $59,000. And the cable television service that we paid is $595,000. So the excess revenue was $59,000 compared to the prior year where we actually had a loss of $47,000. So the POA seems to be running fine. Any questions on the POA or any of the things we've gone over? Thank you. And if, yeah, go ahead.
Excuse me, when we had the club out there before, there was an item for board designated funds referencing note 2. There are no notes up there.
Well, the notes are there.
Can you explain what note 2 is?
Sure.
Note 2 pretty much does the rule for it that Howard went through. It just says the board designated funds are made up of an operating one, 2 capital ones, and a loan repayment. And it gives the amount. That's note 2.
That's it. I'll read it for you too, quick.
Is that
Here, I'll read it exactly, and exactly what Ron said. The board designates the cash flow from certain golf and social membership transactions, including membership certificates, capital assessments, and renovation assessments, for future capital improvements and loan repayments. The board also designated $141,000 to operating reserves to offset future losses. And that was at note 11 that I showed up there. As of December 31st, 2018 and 2017, the club had $919,000 and $1,713,000 of capital improvement designated funds respectively. As of December 31st, 2018 and 17, the club had $603,000 and $606,000 of loan repayment designated funds, and I had showed those separately. So that's what note 2 is. She just explained it, but I thought it's more important to show it. That's just what we did. Any other questions anybody has? Thank you. I'm glad that we keep getting good reports from our auditors.
Thank you very much, Howard.
You're welcome.
Next up, Ron, you're going to talk about our financial results for the first 4 months and this past month?
Certainly. First, I'd like to thank Howard as the chairman of the audit committee and the rest of the audit committee members for their support of the accounting staff and everything in the whole club and going through and looking at things and helping us and being a resource for us. So thank you, Howard. So far through the end of April, we're having a good year in the club and also in the POA. Picking up where Howard kind of went through the revenues that you saw there, and you saw that food revenues from 18 versus 17 were up, golf revenues in 18 versus 17 were up. We're also, so far in 2019, seeing activity increase in food and beverage, and seeing activity increase in golf. Tennis is going up, fitness is staying about the same on it, but we're having a really good year. A lot of members are coming to the events, the seafood night, the closing nights, and I've been very happy. Our golf events, both the men's and the ladies and the couples, have been well attended, and that is part of the activity and the increase in revenues in the golf side. Guest fees and rounds played are, I think, so far up somewhere in the neighborhood of over 1,000, almost 1,500 rounds. Guest fees are almost double what they were last year in 2018. So we're seeing very positive trends here in the club and also in the POA and going through and doing things. So thank you and all the members for your support and using of the clubs. We do have excess capacity in banquets, so if anybody wants to have a party, please see Jennifer. So if we look so far year to date, we're at $421,000 worth of profit versus a budget of $410,000. This time last year, we were at a loss of a little bit over $50,000. So kind of a nice change in the trend in what's going on. Our cost of goods sold so far this year, it's not on the sheet, but are below last year and below budget. Payroll as a percent of revenue is 6% below last year. So we're managing our costs better, being wiser where we do things, and how we spend your dollars. Looking at the operating reserves, the operating reserve still at $141,000. The capital fund is up to $760,000, and the social reserve is up to $252,000. So we've got good reserves, we've got good cash balance, and as Howard mentioned, our liquidity is still strong. So we're in good shape. Thank you.
Any questions for Ron? Okay. General manager's report. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Randy. And thank you for joining us 15 strong. Appreciate it. The non-resident continues to go strong. We're at 42. They are extremely helpful to the financial end of the club, so we're very happy with that. We continue to work on a number of different issues that we have at the club. Food and beverage, in particular, is one of them. Jennifer Jolly is here, and she has just gone through her first transition, which is a fairly difficult transition for us when we lose 75% of our front of the house staff when the H-2B employees that come in from South Africa leave. Last year, we made a critical error. We never hired anybody to replace them, and I only learned got in the middle of that we didn't have enough service staff to maintain the quality of service that we needed through the summer months. This year, you may see that Jennifer has hired a number of new employees. At one point, it looks a little overwhelming, but we are training. This week, Jennifer started a major training program with every food and beverage employee that is employed at Boca Grove. We are taking a process that we took from the Ritz-Carlton. I'm not saying that this is going to be a Ritz-Carlton, but their training program is extremely dynamic, and we feel very comfortable as we move through the training process with new employees that we feel have the right attitude, that have worked at clubs or in the restaurant business before, and we believe if you can give us a little bit of time to continue to train them and have a little bit of patience as we do that, that we will, by the end of the summer, have what we feel a very quality-driven food and beverage operation, much better than it has been in the past. We have a recent recognition that I'd like to share with you, and I did on my last week's message, is that we were recognized by the Platinum Clubs of America, which is a very prestigious recognition in our industry, for an honorable mention. That program is a 2-year program. Every 2 years, peers from all over the country vote on what they believe are the top clubs. We were able to get recognized in an honorable mention process, and it gives us 2 years to be able to step up our program. We're really excited about it. Part of that process is, are we protecting traditional values? Are we looking ahead and how we make changes in the club? Is the board working closely with the general manager and the operations team to create a successful environment for the club and are the members happy? So those are things that we are working on. Today was quite a day for me, actually. For the last year and a half, I have, I have tried to bring in Gary Player. Gary Player was significant. Not only did he win 165 tournaments in his lifetime, but also lived here on the 8th hole, on the 8th tee. Many years ago was his first home in America. Gary Player is connected, or my wife is connected to Mr. Player because he's a member of the Bears Club, and I have for a year and a half been prodding my wife to say, can you please have Gary Player come to take a look at Boca Grove again? Well, last week he called me and he said, Mike, how'd you like to play on Thursday? And that was an amazing thing. So today, Gary Player played 18 holes with myself and Sean, and Raphael played 9 holes with him, and he was just blown away by the growth of this community, by the beauty of this community, and by the professionalism of our operating team. The golf staff was so excited to have him. A lot of members came out to meet him, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to take somebody like that and spend the day with him. So I hope that in the future we've talked to him about next year possibly coming back for the groundbreaking of our wellness center, because Gary really was the pioneer of golf fitness, and today shot even par. His longest drive was about 264, and every fairway he hit. So he's rock solid, still does 1,000 push-ups a week, 1,000 sit-ups a week, and is just a rock solid guy. So he's very interested in helping us with the promotion of future programs here at Boca Grove, and in particular, is a very big fan of the Wellness Center project that we're taking on. Today was a special day. I left it over there. Frank is going to stand up and show us. Today is our first harvest, and our future beekeeper, Jennifer Jolly, today officially had the first harvest from our beehives that we have on the northern part of our property. We do have 5 hives. We have had, the queen has been on property for a number of months, and today was the first day. We took, Jennifer took a team in to see how we actually harvest, I think it's called harvest, I'm not sure, how we harvest the honey. Futuristically, we will be presenting that honey to our membership. you know, and we're packaged it in a nice new logo that we have that represents our bee program, and it's an exciting process. We did plant about 7 orange trees out there, trying to go back to the tradition of Boca growth. Those orange trees in the future will be pollinated by our bees, and we hope to have orange honey. So that's something for the future. Those are things that we are trying to do that take us from good to great and create little special things that we can continue to sell against. This weekend's a big weekend. It is Memorial Weekend. We have Field Day. We're opening our new field officially behind the fitness center and adjacent to the basketball courts at 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. We follow that by Memorial Day barbecue. That should be great. I hope you make your reservations and join us. We have a huge pool party on Monday for Memorial Day proper, and we're excited about it. The sad but wonderful note, Kathy Whitehurst is here, and you're only 15, but I hope Ann the board gives her a wonderful ovation because we love her so much. Thank you. We have overwhelming response, as we knew we would, for Kathy's retirement party that we have next Thursday night. It starts at 6 o'clock. Due to the demand, we are going to close Chippers and use our whole facility. So when you enter, you will enter into Chippers for cocktails, and then our program will start at 7 o'clock in Windows. We have a wonderful program. We're really excited about it, and we hope if you haven't got your reservation that you join us. And certainly this is Kathy's last board meeting, and we love her, and we hope you'll celebrate with us on Thursday night. Thank you.
Thank you, Lenny. Okay, next we're going to just kind of once again reiterate to the folks here the board's goals. We're very focused on these 5. First was hitting the budget. Ron mentioned to you that we are on course for our first 4 months. We're very happy about that. Sports and Wellness Center. I'll give Michael a moment to take a little water. There we go. He's on cue.
Thank you.
And he's going to give you an update on how we're doing there.
Thank you. I'll be quick. You know, we met this past week, a number of members, as well as the committee, the ad hoc committee, and a few board members went on a tour with our newly acquired J Banks design team from Hilton Head. We went to Marisol, Glen Eagles, and then Woodfield. The chef was with us, Jennifer was with us. It was really exceptional that we dug deep into their operations and how they process and how they work through not only fitness but pool operations and food and beverage operations. We have a big meeting next Friday as we follow up, as we begin to start to design the food and beverage operation. Chef and I just came back from Chicago from the National Restaurant Association trade show, where we met with the designer, the kitchen designer that we're working with. And even though it's a small kitchen, we want to make sure we get it right. So we went to a number of booths that supply different equipment for that type of program that we plan on having. We still have listed April 20th as our shovel in the ground in 2020. That stays firm. And we're working through a number of site plan tweaks, so to speak. And those tweaks are like, where do we put the equipment for the pool? You know, what placement exactly is the kids area? So we're working on those things, and we look forward to continuing to report our success as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a question?
Spend time.
When you're talking about the design team, where was the thinking behind having a design team as opposed to an architect design firm that we need an architect in Florida to do the drawings and everything and have the permits done? What was the thinking behind having a separate design team?
Well, the design team, let me explain. So the design team is really interior. They work on things like bar design, how the dining room flows, what the bathroom selections are for tile, ceiling treatment. They have a little bit to do with lighting. So the architecture puts the structure together without anything inside, and the design team selects what goes inside based on the budgets that we have.
And again, what was the thinking behind having a design team
From Hilton Head?
or
Yeah, so-
outside of the state of Florida, that, you know, should anything come up, that you can say, oh, we have a problem, they can.
Sure, so we looked at a number of different design teams, of which none of them were from Florida, actually, that have done recent designs of two-story fitness and wellness centers and pool complexes. And so when we went to do that, we found a number of them that we bid out, and they gave us bids, and we found the one that we thought could both fit what we're looking for. J. Banks Design has done a number of clubs recently, Ballon Isles, Frenchman's Reserve. They did Old Marsh, I worked with them there. We selected them because they did John's Island, and John's Island is a very much a premier, beautiful property that's not overstated and not full of fluff, and we like that about them. I worked with J. Banks back in the early 90s with the development of the Carolina Club, and Deer Creek Club was one of the first projects she worked with. So it's kind of interesting to be back together with them. I think they're going to do a phenomenal job, and I found them to be very, very active. They also worked with our architects before on a number of projects, so we thought that combination worked well.
And again, going back to, why was there a decision to separate an architect and a design firm? Why was there
They're
a
totally
architect-
different. There is one architecture firm, Peacock and Lewis, that also has a design process, but not all the architects, in particular the architects that are working through the club process, have a subset of interior designers that work under their program. So Leo Daly does not have a design team that works under them.
And nowhere in the state of Florida would you find a design team? That-
If we wanted to go to Peacock and Lewis, which I really have a lot of history with them, I didn't think that was the right way to go, so we thought it was a good selection. We presented it to the ad hoc committee, and we feel really good about it.
Michael, I think what's important to say is that it's no more expensive to use somebody out of Hilton Head
Certainly.
as it is to use somebody out
Yeah.
of Florida. And I think that's the part that's missing.
Except if there's something that comes up.
There still
And
isn't.
things always come up.
Mm.
When you have the design team and or the architect.
We made sure,
Driving distance.
when we originally looked at the architect, we thought it was important that the architect was here because they are very much involved in the construction phase of the project. The interior designer, not so much. In particular, there's not a huge amount of interior design work that has to be performed for a two-story fitness center. It really isn't. So we felt good about the pricing we got and the program we have. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we're going to turn and discuss our third goal for our board, which is golf sustainability. This is the program that we, as you all know, we've been in the process of having a vote on. We need 278 votes to pass, which is 2/3 of the voting community. And at the moment, as we sit here today, we have 194. So we are well on our way. We have until July 10th to make this happen. So if you haven't voted, I can promise you you'll be getting a phone call. If you have voted, I promise you you will not be getting a phone call. Because we are going to be doing our very, very best, at the very least, give you an opportunity to ask questions, and so that we can have a chance to give you a sense of why this is very, very important. With that being said, and I still be fun about it, but
Yeah,
I can't sit here and say nothing, so.
Not a lot to offer other than that, and the fact that even when we did this, we had an additional, I think we had an
Which is 194.
yeah, we had an additional 9 votes since then. So we have, we're moving the needle, but we only have 50% of the membership that has voted. We really need 70% of the membership to vote. And we have a team out there that's working with us to help to get people to vote. So if you know somebody that hasn't voted yet, just get them to vote. It's important that they vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Goal number 4 is the subject of delinquencies. It's something that I can tell you without a doubt to myself, and Barbara to my right, and Ron, and Michael, the 4 of us, with our attorneys, we are spending, I don't want to think about how many hours on this subject, because they're very, very complicated. Each individual delinquency either has a bank or 2, either it's in foreclosure, it's going to foreclosure, we're dealing with delinquency attorneys on our end to collect. It's a long process, but the reality is we're on it. We made very, very good headway. We're up about 6 this year as far as collection of homes that are not dues paying members. We have another 2 that are in the works that are getting very, very close. So I would say it's something that's moving in a very, very good direction. Ron, would you like to add anything? Or Michael? Or Barbara? Or anybody else? Okay, moving right along. Les Jardins. Michael, you want to handle that one?
Sure. So Les Jardins is a mix between club and POA, but I can tell you that our vision to remodel and renovate condos is beginning to get good traction. We still believe that the renovation process, which we're in the middle of one right now, we've completed 2. We believe the renovation process is going to present us with sale opportunities. We are putting our efforts this summer into traveling north to try to market Boca Grove in our condominium renovation process and our golf club and community, and we're looking forward to that. We really feel good about where we're heading. We have been in negotiations for the sale of 2 properties, and we think we're going to get that. We don't have a check, so we can't.
We're at the 1 yard line.
We're at the 1 yard line. So we feel good. If we can continue to move this forward, I think we're going to see great results from something that continues to be a very big challenge for our community. Thank you.
Okay. Any old business? Any new business? Any questions from the audience? Yes.
Okay, so I just want to get a little status update. Right now, there are 61 homes still for sale. However, I think 4 of them are contingent. I think 1 is pending, which has been like that for quite some time. But what I want to talk about is the $5,000 buyer's agent reward. Have any of those been given out yet? I don't know the answer to that question.
I think you know the answer to that, right?
I don't know what the answer.
We haven't had any closings yet.
Okay. Actually, then I would like to make a suggestion. Would you consider, instead of giving the buyer's agent the $5,000, would you put that toward the actual buyer's equity and reduce the amount of equity either from 75 for a golf to 70 and then from a social from 70 to 65? Consider it, please.
We've talked about that at great length.
Thank you.
And I will say to you at our next meeting, we will have a detailed discussion on that. Again, we'll open up the subject.
The next board meeting that we are invited to, that is you're talking about?
Well, the next board meeting will report back to you on what we resolved or didn't resolve.
But you are considering still, or?
I'm responding to you. At this next, where we gather together, the next time,
Right.
we will have on our agenda, you have my personal promise that that subject will be discussed. And then we will come to you, and you'll ask me the same question, because I know you will, and then I will respond to you based on what the board's outcome was. Is that
Okay.
reasonable?
I agree, thank you. One other suggestion.
Yes.
At this point, you said you have now 42 outside memberships,
We
the
do.
yearly memberships.
That's correct.
Congratulations. However, I believe you're charging approximately $17,000?
It's about 18 and change after you add the service charge. Am I correct, Juan? 18, 750.
18 and change.
Right.
would you consider raising that to $25,000 as to make it more attractive for somebody like myself who is a golf member, who actually doesn't want to be a golf member, but has to be a golf member, who pays roughly $23,000 just for the golf membership, including the taxes. So those people that are paying 18 perhaps might want to consider buying a house, because then they'll get the reduced membership instead of paying, let's say, 25 for the outside. They would only be paying, let's say, 23. Because right now, I'm paying 18,000. There's no motivation for those people to try to buy a home here.
Well, 3 of them have. We've had 3 that have done exactly that,
Okay.
which we're thrilled about.
Terrific.
And the second question is, or second point is,
Yes.
and I'm being very candid and honest with you, just like the first time I'm gonna come back from the board, this time I can tell you that the marketplace dictates the price. The marketplace. The marketplace means what do the other clubs charge for an outside membership? If they all charge 23 to 25, I'm with you,
Yeah.
but none of them do. We're all within 16, 17, 18, and Delaware is 19. So between 16 and 19 is the, let's call it the trading range,
Okay.
okay, of the marketplace. We can't be, I don't want to have 12, I want to keep the 42, right? I don't want people to leave. You want them too. They're helping you with your dues.
Yeah, no, I didn't understand.
So that's the
I wondered
trading
how
range.
you got at that
Okay.
figure. I never knew
So
that.
we're looking at the marketplace, and the marketplace dictates what we're going to charge. And we just raised our rates this past year, $750, which everybody else was raised. So we kind of moved in with the market. So we went from 0 to 42 in 3 years. Pretty cool thing. $800,000 in revenue for the club between their dues and the food. It's real money. Real money for everybody. It's worth about $1,800 per member having those people here. Our dues would have gone up another $1,800 if we didn't have those people. So we're taking it. So that's the answer to that question is we will not consider that.
Okay, I didn't
Okay.
understand how you got it.
That's cool.
That was never
Yeah.
explained to myself.
Okay.
So thank you for educating me.
My
I
pleasure.
appreciate that.
Okay, with no more business, meeting adjourned on the club board? Okay. Done. Next. BOA. We're moving right along, ladies and gentlemen. Accomplish it. Approval of the April 25th POA minutes. Can I get a motion, please? Motion. Second. All in favor? Ron is up.
I will keep this short, not because it's not a good story, but so that we can continue to go. Again, with the, thank you, just as the club, we're going well this year. We're at 83,000 year-to-date profit versus a budget of 58, so we're 24,000 ahead. Our general reserve, our road reserves are maintaining at good levels, and our cash levels are good. So we're, from a POA standpoint, we're in great shape. Any questions? Thank you.
Great shape, no questions. Michael.
Thank you. As we just mentioned, we have 6 closings in 2019. Out of those closings, 3 golf memberships. The sellers were 3 golf members and 3 social members, and the buyer were 0 golf members, 4 social members, 1 bank, and 1 POA. We had 1 social upgrade to golf, which is positive, and we have currently 4 contracts pending, including some things that we're doing with the 2 apartments, condos that we have at Leisure Dam. Currently, we have 59. We may be up to 61. This
We are.
we up to 61? So we have 61 listings. You can see the percentages that we have and where those listings come from. It is the largest listing percentage of homes that we've had, maybe ever. I think other clubs in the community and in Palm Beach are running under the same programs. If you take a look at the newspapers and follow real estate in general, first quarter and April have been extremely slow.
Michael, to back that up, there's for those in the audience, there's a quarterly meeting where club presidents from all the 21 different clubs in the area, plus the GMs get together, and this was a topic at the last meeting. This is not just a Boca Grove issue, folks. This is literally at all the clubs have varying degrees of real estate sales that are not as good as the year before. So I'm not trying to make you feel better, but I'm letting you know that it is a very, very common thing. And I was speaking to the entire table about that I was with, same issues.
Sure.
Okay. Next, Heather. Okay, next we have community cleanup. we're, Darryl, my friend Darryl, Mr. Clean. For those of you who are here that got a letter from this gentleman right here, there's a reason. The reason is that we're trying to get all the swales, all that little strip of grass that's in front of your house. We want people to drive down and around the community and have it look beautiful. Why? Because the rest of the community is beautiful. Why not have that little piece? So Darryl, how many letters did you send out? 7-0. Weed violators. Okay? So you should all be happy about that from the standpoint that we're on it. We want the community to look beautiful. And it's not just the board's problem, it's everybody's problem. We'll have to participate. We'll have to make sure that we're on the same page. So Darryl and his committee are on this like nobody's business. And when we see a property that's not looking good, he's coming. He's not going to be moved because we want it to look nice. So please understand that it's not like we're on the gotcha committee. It's about making it look beautiful. When you drive through our community, let's be honest, it looks really, really nice on Boca Boulevard. We want our homes to look similarly nice. So, in a nutshell, Darryl, how'd I do? Thank you. Okay, traffic control and safety. You've seen that sheriff out there. Michael, you gonna handle that?
Go ahead, you're doing great.
Really? I'm on a roll. Oh no, I'm doing this.
No, you don't have to do that.
Okay. So the sheriff has been out there for a couple of weeks, and we've been very, I think we've done it the right way. The sheriff has not been hiding, lurking in the weeds somewhere and then nailing you right out in the open. Because we're trying to do this again as a community that wants to do the right thing and a board that wants to do the right thing. We want you to see him and remind yourself, hey, stop, slow down. That's all. At the end of the day, that's really what we're trying to do. Even with somebody literally blaring right in your face, one day 13 people got stopped. I mean, it's unbelievable. The guy was right next to the stop sign. I don't know how that happens. I don't know. I can't explain it to you. 13 times. It's unbelievable. So the reality is we are going to continue. Now those were warnings, so that's cool. Everybody's all right. Now, this week, and starting next week, you're going to get fines. You don't want to talk parking ticket from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Department. Hi.
We are now in the off-season, so where the people here are other people. Is the sheriff going to come back in November?
And the other good thing is I'm not even going to tell you when they come back. So yes. But you don't believe it or not, 20 you say that with the off-season, 72% of our people live here year-round. It's unbelievable. It used to be 50%.
But we're the 72 people who don't speak.
Wow, okay. Excuse me, I apologize. Okay, so I think the reality is it's been a good, positive thing. We're doing it the right way. We don't want you to speed, but if you get caught, I mean, some of these tickets are like $250. And points on your license. So if you're speeding at 50 miles an hour in this community, it's gonna hurt big time. Just letting you know. So tell your friends and neighbors, don't do it. Okay, Michael?
Thank you very much. Yes, one thing on security I wanted to bring up, and you can see the activity that our security people are under during the course of the last month. One thing that happened in the last month is that we did have a break-in on Frontenac. We continue to evaluate what we think is the most vulnerable area of our community, which is the north end of Frontenac that abuts Estancia Park. We have met with a number of companies to look at different ways to secure that perimeter with cameras and beams and different things. And I am in the process working with Scott to present that to the board. They have taken a look at it. We're evaluating it still. It was not a burglary, it was a break-in. It was the same motive that has been used recently in Palm Beach County, where they actually come in, jump the wall, and trigger the alarm, jump back over the wall again, wait for our security to come and do perimeter checks, and when we have finished that perimeter check, they jump over the wall and smash the window again. because the alarm has already been notified to the alarm company, it doesn't trigger a second alarm. So this is something that burglars and people that break into homes this is a new discovery. This is the way they're doing it, and that's what we found that they did here. I will tell you that this week, Frenchman's Creek, which is up by me, that is probably has the largest security budget of any community in the state, okay, that has multiple dogs, multiple security personnel, guns, armored tanks. They got broken into, and 2 houses were hit in that community just this week. So it is difficult this time of year as people begin to leave their homes empty. And over there on Frontenac, it happens that 3 homes in a row are empty and they are able to get in. So we hope that lighting is important for all of us. Security is a vital part of our future success, not only security from us as a POA, but also for you in your own homes. So it's important that you arm your alarms, you lock your doors, and you try to, and let us know, communicate if you're going to be out of town for a couple of days. You know, we'll pick your newspapers up and make it not look like there's nobody there. So, thank you.
Okay, any old business? Any new business? Any final questions before we say good evening? Meeting adjourned.